whatever the fix was for something in the 80s or early 90s, you can best believe it would be a source of deep trauma well into adulthood. That's how they solve problems in the
Yeah.
80s, 80s especially. Speaking as the old man on the show, like
Right.
any problem that what they did with any child that they couldn't easily categorize, they put them in the room by themselves in the 80s. That was school system approach to anything that was not no, or they flunked them. I don't want to ramble too much, but there's a famous Cosby Show episode.
Oh, good. Tell me about that.
Set aside your feelings about Bill Cosby. Suspend
I have no
your
feelings about Bill Cosby. I was never I have no affinity or I don't know.
You have no
affinity
feelings
towards him.
about most things, Jonathan. That's
fair.
not highly
Totally
unusual.
reasonable. Totally reasonable assessment of the situation. Go on.
In any case, there's an episode of The Cosby Show, which aired on the NBC network.
Good.
Where
That's an important detail. Yeah.
That's an important detail. People need to know that. They might want to track it back, where a young Theodore Huxtable, better known as Theo, played by the effervescent Malcolm Jamal Warner, where a young Theo is finally diagnosed with dyslexia. Okay. And for 4 seasons up to that, a lot of the jokes about Theo were he was bad in school, right?
Right.
So he eventually goes on to college in the later seasons of the Cosby Show, becomes a very well-read, mature man. But that's sort of part and parcel of the 80s, and the Cosby Show in its brilliance wanted to let communities of color give them an understanding that there's a spectrum of learning for children, because most of the Black communities at that time, I'm sure Latino, et cetera, were not familiar with terms like dyslexia, and we just sort of teased our children for being dummies, and that wasn't the case. So
yeah, I mean I mean, you just said dumb. Can I ask you a serious question?
Yeah, I guess.
I had an attack against me this morning for being Jewish.
Oh,
no,
really?
For being Jewish.
Oh, this is going to be an ask the black guy question, isn't it? And that's what
this is 100% an ask the black guy question.
Exactly. And I have not. Going.
I mean, I'm like clearly Jewish. Like, I mean, you just
You're
look
very
at me,
Jewish, Jonathan.
and then there's my name.
Yes.
Let me give you my side profile for
right.
that.
Yeah,
but
right.
It's one of those. I had Twitter. It's funny because I haven't actually experienced a lot of like overt racism in my life. A lot of Jewish people I know have, but I grew up just in a very sort of accepting city, a very accepting part of the city, and so I haven't. But now that I'm a guy on the internet, I get it every once in a while, and particularly because I'm starting to put stuff out on Twitter. Like Twitter is just like anonymous fucking assholes.
Yeah,
and it doesn't bother me, but I wanted to talk to you about it. Like one guy is like, oh, I guess you're overcompensating for that big knocker, and like zoomed in on my nose. But the guy this morning, I don't even know what he looked at it. It was just like,
sounds bodish.
Step 1, be Jewish. I'm like, that's fucking weird. But it's just like, it's, some anonymous account, right? Somebody who's just like, I used to try to, attack them, whatever. Now I just feel bad for them because like clearly something is going on in their life that they're like compensating for. And I wish them well, but
small penis. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Maybe they have a small penis. But I mean, who knows? Who knows what it is?
Micropenilitis, I think is what it's called. Micropenilitis.
Well, it's not penile-itis because itis is an inflammation of something. So it's clearly not an itis.
Yeah.
It's the opposite.
Yeah,
What's the opposite of an itis? Like they wish they had an itis. They wish they had micropenile-itis.
Micropenile degeneration, because that's a shrinkage of. So micropenile degeneration.
How you fix the micropenile is with an itis.
I'm sure.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure it involves
you
honey and
constrict
butter.
the blood vessels in an attempt to bulge out on it.
Vasodilates. They need a vasodilator. Go ahead.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So
sorry.
So have you experienced overt racism online? I mean, I know you have in your life.
It's more in real life. Like it's ironic from my perspective, because one thing that you don't get online as being a black guy is like, hey, black guy, you black person, black
true,
man.
I've never said that to anybody.
With your blackness. Like, you don't get that a lot of. I tell you what, here's where it comes in online is with like stars, right? Like other people. You know what? You bring up a good point, Jonathan, because I want to say this right now. I hate this. There's a co-opting of a word, and you've heard it, and Amber's heard it. By the way, I thought Amber was going to be gone by now, and also I said Amber Heard, and that reminded me of a whole different case. But
I do not poop in beds, just for
the pillow pooping bandits. Amber Heard. In any case,
pillow pooping pundit of Pretoria. How's that for popping in my mic? I feel like I need a pee popper mic blocker thing. If I'm gonna alliterate with peas, then I feel like
so funny.
Yeah.
She played a fish. I wonder if she.
There's been a lot of penis and pooping so far. That's a lot of p words.
I think after Aquaman, she sang "Under the Sea" while she pooped on this pillow. Yeah. Under the sea, darling, it's better down where it's wetter. Take it from me. In any case, what I'm trying to say, Jonathan. Oh, the term is woke. Oh my God, I hate to see this stupid term anywhere. It's a co-opted term. Since it's the Ask a Black Guy segment, it's a co-opted term that the community used to use in reference to say, stay aware of, your historical, wins, like stay woke. Did you know that Benjamin Banneker was the first African American? Blah blah blah. Hey, stay woke, son.
I did not know that.
Right?
No,
nobody knew that. It's a little known Black history fact, but. Now it's been co-opted. And to your point, what I see more so on the internet is like there'll be something that has a woman who stars in it. And someone will say, they're just trying to make this show woke, right?
Because they're like having a woman in it.
Right.
Like, well, so this brings up a different conversation. I appreciate the Ask the Black Guy segment.
That's how I experience bigotry online. It's never direct. It's always a commentary about something that's meant to needle me. And I don't give a shit. I mean, I'm doing awesome. I'm relatively tall for, who my dad is, relatively good looking. Dad's like 4'10", man, for real. My dad's like Danny DeVito height. So I'm relatively tall, I'm relatively handsome. I got muscles. That's good. Right. And
we know nothing about your personal life.
You don't know nothing. And nobody
have done
knows anything.
Hundreds of podcast episodes together. We know about how Amber has a secret affinity for just guys who drive like big machine objects
or fly.
And like every single guy that she's ever been with basically is like a tank, airplane, or helicopter operator.
Just CIA person.
We know that about her. Like,
she's going through the books at Langley at this point and just picking out. She's got like a Langley CIA dating profile kit.
Yeah.
And she only has access to it. So she's like, skydiver today, Navy SEAL, or astronaut, whichever.
Yeah. The most generically American names, the better. Like Chris Smith.
Right.
Like that immediately. She's just like, is that like an Americana name? Yeah, good. And so, okay, so let me ask this. First of all, Amber, a project for you because you don't have enough to do, clearly. We really need a Ask the Black Guy button like song.
Right.
But it needs to be like I guess a bit of a musical interlude, but like a 1990s like TV. And here we are with the Ask a Black Guy segment. Like I think
you should go back further. I think you should do 70s, man. Something like a blaxploitation movie score, like Shaft or something like that.
Yeah, 100%.
That's where you want to go.
Did you say blaxploitation?
It's a genre of movies, blaxploitation movies.
Really?
These are movies like Shaft. This Ask a Black Guy segment is going way long today, by the way.
Okay, so let me segue into this.
Starting to feel targeted here, John. I don't know if I like it anymore.
I have a problem that I want to bring up.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't have a solution for. Like I don't want to say that I have an answer for this, but I want to bring it up as something that I experience and something that I still have not been able to figure out the answer to. And so, onto your the reason why I thought about it was, you spoke about including a woman in a movie, and it's like, oh, it's woke because it's like a woman, or like people of color hiring for a company, or when I hosted events. So I've put on 5 different events. I put on 2 big conferences for fitness, and the fitness industry traditionally still is very much white male dominated. And that's not like a good thing. And I think it is changing, but that's very much like how it is.
It's a real observation. This is the truth. You're not making this up. This is a real thing. We're not complaining, but it's the reality of what it is for the most part.
It is what it is.
It's what it is.
And it's not us saying that this is like a good thing that it is, or me saying this is a good thing that it is. And so when I put on conferences, it was obviously what we tried to do was get a wide array of speakers for the event. And it was legitimately difficult to do.
Yes.
And the reason for that was not that there weren't a lot of talented women, people of color. It wasn't that they didn't exist. It's that they didn't have experience speaking. And when you put on an event, I'm quite happy like bringing in some people that are kind of, call it wild cards. Like I've just like never seen you speak before. You might crush it, but like probably not, because probably no matter how smart you are, if you've never spoken publicly on a stage before, you're not going to be that good at speaking on a stage. It's like anything else. You just got to do reps of something to be good at that thing.
You can
and
suck.
Well, you might suck. And so as an event organizer trying to mitigate trying to not mitigate, but trying to like navigate this situation where I really want it to be inclusive. I want to showcase a whole bunch of different people from different backgrounds. But at the same time, now keep in mind, this was like 8-9 years ago. So I don't know if I would have this problem now as much as I did back then. I don't think that I would.
I don't think so either.
I don't think that I would. But it was the issue that I never quite knew how to solve was I had to put on a good event. Mm-hmm. And I could only have, X amount of speakers at the event. I needed to give them a stage and an audience and stuff like that. And I had no clue whether they'd be good or not. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't quite a meritocracy, because I could have easily guaranteed that all the speakers were going to be killer speakers if it was all white men.
Right.
But I had to...
Not by choice.
Default. And the reason for this, of course, is that historically the white men have been given all of the opportunities, which is why they've been able to practice, which is why they're better now. And so you should absolutely give people an opportunity to basically like catch up if they've been, I don't know if I want to use the word oppressed. I feel like that's too strong of a word, but I don't have a better word.
It's
but
strong.
Like catch
the opportunities
up,
haven't been there.
The opportunities haven't been there.
Haven't had the ability to practice their set. Quite as much sets probably as a comedy routine wordage, but I get what you're saying. Like if you haven't, I need some experienced people. But if for other reasons you haven't been able to get the experience, how can I get you experienced without putting you into my show and hoping that it's good for the people who've invested to be here? It's a catch-22. Yeah. Like what do you do in that situation?
Okay.
So what do you do in that situation?
I have no idea. Moving on. I just want to bring it up.
Good talk.
Two quick things. Number one, dad grunts. I want to hit on this. I have noticed that I dad grunt. And every single time I get up from a seated position now, I pull one of these. I'm like, yeah. And every time I'm like picking up Calvin or playing with him. And shit, I've reached that point in my life. Okay, yes, bringing that one up. Number two. Can we? So I was listening to the Conan O'Brien podcast this morning during my workout, and they're so funny. And I was looking at what another guy was doing on what was his name? Everyday Got Andre, I think is his name on Instagram. And it was just like, this dude is just like strong as on hell, like putting out content. I'm like, I'm never going to be as funny as Conan O'Brien. I'm never going to be as strong or as fit or as good as video as this guy. And then I look at other people writing, like particularly on Twitter, there's like a lot of phenomenal writers. I'm like, I'm never going to be as good of a writer. Why the hell am I doing what I'm doing? Mm-hmm. Podcasting, of course. Like Amber just got headphones. Like that's the stage we're at for podcasts. You know what I'm saying? And I was just reflecting on this as I was listening to this podcast, to this Conan O'Brien podcast of like, I'm never going to be as funny as that, and saying, why am I doing what I'm doing? It's like, well, I'm never going to be good unless I do what I'm doing. And I'm happy to bring people along the journey. But I wanted to reflect on that because I imagine that I'm not the only one who feels this way looking at other people on the internet where we're constantly comparing ourselves to them. But we need to figure out a way to play our own game. We need to figure out a way to show up in the capacity that we can show up in the way that we do best. And we're going to get better if we put in the reps for it. But if you feel like you are constantly comparing yourself to others, and you're never going to be as good as them, like the truth is you might not. But if your goal is to be the best in the world at something, odds are you're never going to reach your goal. But you're going to turn out pretty damn awesome.
I think that's fair.
Next one. Habits. Can we talk about habits? Here's where I want you two experts on this. I don't get a lot about habit coaching. I get the importance of habit coaching. It's super important. It's probably coaching habits and instilling good habits in our clients is probably the most important thing that we can do as a coach. It comes first. I totally understand that. What I don't understand is why the hell companies have made trainers to believe that it's way harder to coach than it actually is. Like, what am I wanted to ask you two, because you're both like super educated in this field, way more than I am. What am I missing? Is it not like a checkbox? Did you drink your water today? Why are people signing up for software that costs $100 a month plus to like ask people if they drank water? Like, am I missing something? Like, what, can we talk about this? Like, what's going on here?
Jonathan.
Thanks for the dad grunt.
So, the first thing is there's just all types of humans out there. And I think where the confusion comes in for you, Jonathan, is that you've sort of surrounded yourself with excellent humans, right? Like the people that you call on to execute, they can execute and they want to execute. And I would say that most people, I'm going to say something that might be controversial, Cialis. Controversialis.
Crunching your cereal?
Yeah, that, all of that. And
Captain
that's
crunching
that,
your cereal?
to a great degree, I think that trainers and nutrition coaches are a default button against therapists, right? A lot of people that you get as a personal trainer or as a nutrition coach or a coach or whatever you want to call it, the first stop maybe should have been prioritizing mental wellness. I'm just going to say it,
Okay.
But it's a lot more socially acceptable in a lot more circles to say, I hired a trainer, than it is to say, I'm going to therapy, right?
Sure.
So because of that, you would think it would be just as simple as having someone check a box. Did you drink your water today, right? Did you get your protein today? But what you end up with is a lot more layering than that.
I 100% buy what you're saying, and I agree 100% with what you're saying. And I think what you said, I don't remember what it was, but it's on the recording, all right. So whatever. But like, I think what you said in terms of it being the default something well-spoken Ren Jones, right, was what I 100% buy into the benefits of coaching habits.
Right.
What I don't understand is why people feel like they need software for it. Like that's the part
I
that
get
I'm
that.
missing, right? Like coaching 100%.
Because we feel broken. Because I am exactly that person, right? So I'm in the midst of getting diagnosed with ADHD, right? And so we're constantly being told, like, well, you just need to focus, or this, you need a system, you need this, you need that. And so like we feel so broken because we can't complete what feels like this really simple thing. Mm-hmm. So the promise of the software, like Habitica, I've done that, or like anything else to help keep myself organized or to do
Habitica?
this.
What's Habitica?
You've never seen that? It's like a gamification software for habits and stuff that you can build. Okay. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. If you do it, which is the problem.
By definition, the people who need this are not the people who are going to do it.
Well, that's the
they're
problem.
Incapable of using it.
Yeah, but
it's like every single productivity app used by some 22-year-old lifestyle entrepreneur who like has no real life responsibilities. It's like, yeah, no shit. Like,
it's a Band-Aid. It makes us feel like we're doing the thing because like it's never just drinking the water, right? Like it's okay, I have to get the water, I have to have the right thing, I have to do this and this and this. It's like it's not just that item. It has to be broken down even further, especially for people like me. So hence why this podcast is driving me bananas, because this is trying to organize all of this stuff. It's not my forte. So even those really simple tasks, and if there's software that helps manage it or makes it more fun, at least in the temporary sense, to participate, then great. Like there's a really popular one right now called Motion, and it looks at your calendar and all of your to-dos and all of your tasks and habits that you're wanting to do. And it reshifts it based on priority and all of the stuff. So it organizes it for you.
How does it know what's a priority or not?
You have to set it up. So
that's the issue. That's my point. Like that's the problem.
The other way feels, there's just so much resistance to it, right? Like it's never like, we know, like I'm drinking freaking Monsters and Diet Coke like on the regular. I never drink water, right? I know I should. And like every week I'm like, I should do that because I should set a good example for my son, right? But like I just can't, right? Like I know I could. It's not technically hard, right? But so it's just software helps us.
I mean, you know what they say.
Put impression.
If you can't drink water, make sure that whatever you drink is the color neon.
It is, and it is very neon, I'm telling you.
No, I understand that. So from a coaching standpoint, though, I mean, you're talking like general kind of consumer, right? I need to like get my life in order. I'm talking like a coach. So, because we went into this with Quick Coach, right, Amber, where people say, oh, can you coach habits with it? And it's like, yeah, you can, because you can make it whatever you want. You can create a list and have somebody, right, yes, I did this thing. No, I didn't do this thing. And to me, that's all a coaching habit software needs to do, because really what it comes down to is like the coach working with his or her client. Sorry, the coach working with their client, right? They then do the coaching. They'll do this kind of reconfiguring and working with the person. They just need to wait for the client to report back what that person did. Like, why are there habit coaching specific softwares in addition to like other softwares that people are using? That's the part that I'm trying to figure out.
I've got an opinion here. Now that I know what the question is,
I'd love to hear it now.
Yeah. Now that I know what we're talking about, because disregard the shit I said earlier. I didn't have a clue what I was talking about. I was grasping at straws then. I was just trying to fill time. But now I've got a real answer, and I think it's because that it's because of the fact that people don't want to go through the process of becoming efficient at a methodology. Right? You've got to learn how to coach people, and oftentimes a mistake that we make in business is we want to outsource things that we don't have an understanding of how to produce ourselves, which are the very things that you probably need to take your own run at. Because if you outsource things that you don't understand, you're going to get results that you don't want, pretty much guaranteed to get results you don't want, because you don't know what to ask for, really. So rather than me studying and learning how to coach people in a way that gets them to reply to what I need them to reply to, why not just use this app? It'll do it, right? It's $100, $200, fine. I don't have to learn it. It never does do it. But they know that.
It doesn't do what it proposes to do without a human helping anyway.
It's like Weight Watchers, John. They know the shit doesn't work, but it looks like it should. So people sign up for it repeatedly. It's the same thing with these apps. Like, they know when they create it, it's not going to make the impact that they want to.
Do you think so?
But it looks like it will. And people sign up and then they say, I don't have to do that shit now because the app does it. And then they end up talking to me or Amber about how to get their coaching business going.
Well, it's building it too, right? Like, this is hard to do because most of the coaches when they are building programs, it's not targeted. It's very general. And so how do I even build something? Right. And so there's that part of it, but then also they want to look a certain way. They want to look professional, right? And the software helps deliver that professionality that they may not feel. because it takes years and years to really be good at any of this. And so when they just got certified, like to help like compensate for not feeling like they know what they're doing, software kind of makes sense. And so I think it's kind of like in the South, when you have a big truck, you're compensating for something. So I think probably
back to the penis talk. Yes,
I wanted to participate.
Yes,
micropenile dysplasia. I don't know what that last word was.
Really cool truck with the big wheels that you raised up, buddy.
When people don't get the fact that what they're offering is results, not time, not a product, not a doodad. They want to get a doodad to justify why you're paying them. And if I don't feel good about my ability to get the results, I can at least say, oh, and plus, I have the app that's going to let you track this and that and that and this, and I'll know in real time when you blah, blah, blah. So many coaches that we talk to are looking for an item to sell to justify the price that they ask. These apps they begin to be really attractive for them because now they got a thing they can sell, bells and whistles. Because it does take years. Shit, it takes years to get really good at this. It really does. And some of us have been doing it years and haven't gotten good yet.
Though, I mean, first of all, that's a great point, Ronald. I agree. I mean, fitness is always interesting to me because it's such a mastery profession. I think about it like a game of like Texas Hold'em poker, where you can learn the rules really, really quickly, but then it takes a lifetime to master. Mm-hmm. And you learn the rules and you're at the top of Mount Stupid in the Dunning-Kruger curve. And then you realize how much you don't know after. And so you become like overly confident and you post on the internet and you start arguing with people about all of these people. The amount of people who tell me vegetables are bad for you. I'm like, what the hell are you? How stupid are you people? How idiotically brainwashed are you people?
So true.
I don't debate that meat is good for you. I eat a lot of meat, but you saying that vegetables are bad for you because some asshole doctor who's trying to like sell you supplements is like creating all of this fear around vegetables and you're buying into this shit because you're that fucking dumb. Like, I don't, it's just,
That's our quote card.
It doesn't, it's unbelievable to me. And they so clearly have a very beginner's knowledge subset. Like, there some things that are potentially harmful in agriculture that a lot of our vegetables and fruits are like have a little bit of? It's like, yes, often, but, and that but is the part that's missing, because that but is like, okay, can you reasonably assess this information and like make sense of it? Well, that's where the expertise, that's where the like mastery of this stuff comes in. And I feel like with a lot of fitness programming, I feel like with a lot of assessing information, it's that. Amber, you were going to say something?
I was just going to say the graph for Mount Stupid. I'm going to redo that for you, and I'm going to circle it at Mount Stupid and put "you are here." So when you get people that send you this, you can just send them that photo.
It's unbelievable to me how many, like, I put a post up. It's like, oh, like here's like the base things that you need to do to be healthy. It's like, eat your vegetables, and people are like, you stupid, you shouldn't eat vegetables to be healthy. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, do you not understand that if you just eat meat and like be like,
and you need fiber,
keto, and like what is going on inside all of your bodies? First of all, your fucking pebble-sized rock hard shits that you're pushing out once every 3 days. Like, what is going on,
it's
man?
like gerbil pellets. People who are not intelligent, they take nuance and they make it into a manifesto, right? And nuance is the in-between stuff. It's the slight differentiation. It's not the overarching methodology. Like, but people take very small distinctions and turn it into an entire belief system. And then once it gets religious, right? You're no longer listening to reason. Right. So I don't even argue with people like that. I say, do you, bro? Like, if you love meat and nothing else, enjoy it. That sounded a little pornographic. But
So Brad Schoenfeld put a quote up that I just searched up. I'll read it for you really quick. So Brad Schoenfeld, shout out to him, legend in our field, one of the top researchers on muscle, on hypertrophy. Be sure to follow him. Says, the answer to virtually every applied exercise question is, it depends. And then his caption. The application of research-based information into exercise program design will always be context-specific. Genetic and lifestyle factors, as well as goals, abilities, medical issues, etc., all must be taken into consideration when determining individual prescription. Beware of fitness influencers who talk in absolutes.
It's stupid. It's right back to the Tommy Boy quote. You can get a good look at a T-bone, sticking your head up a bull's ass, but I'd rather take the butcher's word for it. It's just ridiculous that people believe these things and nothing else. This is true and nothing else. I saw an interesting meme, Jonathan, if I can call you Jonathan. I saw an interesting meme.
You can't. I'd appreciate it if you didn't.
Well, okay, Mr. Goodman. This is a Goody the Great. Good in the hood. Oh, you got the hood on. It's good in the hood today. So what was I saying? Oh, I was making a point. The point that I was making was, if you listen to every nutritional precept, I don't know the difference between the two words. Fill in the one that's
it's just the whole theme of this podcast is peas, but you don't have to go out of your way to use a key word that's like a big word.
All right. So if you're particularly mindful of these specific and profitable practices among people who preach these dogmas to the persons that are perceiving the information
prescribe me the prescription.
Prescribing these prescriptions, you realize that everything's different. But the perception is that everything's different for everybody, right? Everything's different for everybody. No two people are exactly alike. You can't possibly predict with any perspective other than the people's opinions of the processes that you are piling on to them in terms of what they need to do for this specific person in this particular case. Right. What I'm trying to say is,
go on.
Good coaches introduce you to the gray, right? Poor coaches always have you operate in the black and white. Back to the Ask a Black Guy segment. So if you have a good coach, what they show you is what's in between the extremes. That's great coaching. Someone says you can never eat vegetables or fruit, or someone says you can never eat meat. And I get that there are more reasons than physical health why people choose not to eat meat. That's a different case for me. But in between that, all this gray area exists because most people fail on one end, most people obsess on the other end, and they feel like if I'm either going to fail or obsess, I should do nothing. But there's all this stuff in between, right? And that's where your best coaches operate. And he's right about absolutes, man. Absolutes it's bull stuff. I don't want to curse.
What's dinner en blanc?
So this for me falls into dinner en blanche.
Dinner,
I don't know how
blanche.
You're Canadian, Jonathan.
I'm Canadian. I took French up until grade 6 when I had to. I was actually in French immersion for senior kindergarten in grade 1, and then the teachers and my parents both agreed that I was a little bit slow, and so they took me out of it. And my older brother and sister, of course, were allowed to continue and now speak fluent French and Spanish.
Oh my gosh.
And I didn't. Well, but I mean, it's actually funny. I didn't learn how to read until like quite late. I was like super, super late, and it's funny because I don't know if you knew, Ren, I've written a few books.
I like 11 or something.
Yeah, 11. Thank you. Yeah, 11 books. And so I didn't know how to read until like grade 2. And so they took me out of French immersion because I was like, I'm like the worst like Canadian ever, and I was really slow and like bad in school.
I've never met somebody that got kicked out of French before.
Yeah, I got kicked out of French. And,
I thought the French were relatively passive.
Dinner en blanc.
But yes, there you go. That's a proper. Thank you for the French Canadian pronunciation. So this falls into the greatest gag ever. You got a little something in your sphincter or something. The greatest gag ever pulled off by the internet. So dinner en blanc, it originated in Paris, in Paris. I think in the 1980s, maybe the 90s, I don't know. But the concept of this thing is, and it's all the rage on social media. The concept of this thing is that you have this extravagant dinner and you're dressed in all white, right? White tablecloths, white table linen. There's a dress code, et cetera, and you see all these glorious social media photos of it. Mm-hmm. So this is in essence a lesson in marketing and a lesson in sort of sales psychology, because the way you participate in it is it's at a secret location. You don't know where it is. You have to sign up on a list to get an invitation to it. And then you bring your own fucking table and your own chair, your own tablecloth, your own silverware, your own plates, your own napkins. You must be dressed appropriately. You drag that shit to a bus. The bus drives you to the secret location where you pay $50 at least to either eat the food they have or to bring your own cooked food. And it's all the rage. And I think to myself, oh my God, how can I apply this in my life as a business person to sell an idea so good that people say, hell yeah, I'll buy a table to have dinner in the middle of nowhere and pay you to come. And I'm excited about it. It's the greatest scam of all time for me.
I don't think it is though, right? It shows what happens when you just go against expectations just a little bit. Like the appeal is like there's a way that you're supposed to do something that we all agree is the way that you're supposed to do something. And the minute that you remove a little bit of that, everybody's like, well, is that actually how we're supposed to do something? Like, why don't we just like get together as a whole bunch of random people? And so, it's like every time I've been to like a restaurant like a Benihana's or something like that where everybody sits at the same table, it's like, well, this is actually really nice to sit at a table with a whole bunch of other people for a meal. Amber, of course, does not agree.
That's a hard pass.
But it's nice to do like family style eating. Now, at the same time, there's stuff like, so Allison's family is Hong Kong Chinese, and they have this weird obsession with going out to restaurants to be able to cook their own food. It's like everywhere that they go to like Korean barbecue or hot pot or something like that.
Right.
And it's like all y'all are doing is going to a restaurant and paying a whole bunch of money to cook your own food at your own table. It just seems really weird to me. So I feel like there are ways to like go against this as well. Anyway, cool example. Cool example. I like this kind of stuff. So bring your own table.
If my family tells me for Thanksgiving I need to haul a fucking table to New Jersey this year, I'm opting out of the entire holiday season.
What I also like about this dinner on Blanche thing is that there's nothing like, my guess is they just go to like a public space. Like I see one in front of the CN Tower, right? They just go to a public space and like it's totally
go outside.
But what are you gonna do? Like if you're the police officer, you're gonna like the tables are cumbersome. Like you ain't moving that, you know what I'm saying?
There's no reprimand for this.
Which
500 people with tables. How do you get rid of 500 people with tables?
How do you get rid of that? It is so overt in how it happens. It's like you walk into a place, somebody's place of work, and you just walk in like you know what you're doing and just walk straight into the staff room. Nobody's going to say anything.
Right.
They're like, oh, that guy belongs. Like you can't go what police are going to show up in riot gear to like clear a whole bunch of folding tables away. They're going to like,
it's a food flash mob for God's sakes.
It was like, it's a food flash mob. That's the thing. That's what I love about it. And that's, I love things. I love people and things that are just so unabashedly themselves.
Right.
There's a guy who I'm friends with. His name's Rudy Mayer. And you might have seen his stuff. He's advertising all over the place. And so he was in the fitness industry, and now he's kind of like in the marketing industry. But anyway, he's somebody that I've known for years and years and years and years and years. And he's doing really well. And somebody messaged me one day because, I don't know, I shared something of his or something. I spoke about him. I guess I was with him. I think I posted a picture of him in Montenegro or something with us. And this guy messaged me and he was like, hey, do you actually like that Rudy guy? Like, I don't know him, but he sounds weird. I'm like, yeah, man, I really enjoy his company, and I'll tell you why. Like, I don't know what he does for work. Like, I don't know about the quality of his programs or whatever it is. He is just so completely and unabashedly himself. And I just really enjoy people like that because it's so absolutely ridiculous. Like, I spent an hour and a half with them in a small town in the country of Montenegro. Try to find that on a map. Trying with his girlfriend at a Turkish store that sells fake purses, assessing whether the fake purses look real enough to like pass for real purses. And at the end of this hour and a half in this store, they decided it didn't and didn't buy the purse. And I was enthralled. I couldn't look away. How are you so into like the stitching on
oh my god.
What is it? Hermes?
Yeah, Hermes. Hermes.
Hermes.
Obviously, none of us are fashionistas.
Yeah. What's the like the stitching that it's supposed to be on these bags?
To talk about this.
And like the zipper and like how the zipper zipped and like
sounds nightmarish for me, John.
It's nightmarish for me too, but you gotta respect the hell out of somebody who's that into it. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're so like that's what this Dinner on Blanc thing is to me, is there's just like, you gotta respect the hell out of it because you look at it and you're just like, well, shit, you got me. Like, there's just like nothing you can do. It's like, we're gonna move all these tables. Like, no, they'll take the shit away with them when they're done. I guess these streets are blocked off now. Like, there's just
and they're all nicely dressed too. But you know, again, I'll starve before I carry a table to where I'm going to eat dinner.
I love it.
I'm sorry, especially dressed in white. And then they have they have to approve your dress. Your style of dress must be approved by this organization. You could be turned away, John. Yeah, you could be turned away. Show up looking slouchy like you are in that hoodie right now. No chicken for you, buddy. You just take your slouchy ass back down the street.
You ever been to a white party, like a Jay-Z white party?
Yeah, I've been to a white party in Miami actually.
How was it?
It was in the 90s and it was awesome. DJ Biz Markie was the DJ.
Who
passed away?
Is this because you were
because I was an a star,
notable musician at a point in your life,
a highly mediocre R&B singer? That's exactly right. Yes. I was the upper echelon of R&B mediocrity, John.
Were you?
Which means people knew me, but they didn't like it. That's what that means. Oh yeah, I heard of you guys. I don't like you. Is what we got.
So for anybody who doesn't know, if you're a new listener to this podcast, Ren was in an R&B group called Fortress. Now, very, very important. The Fortress is written with the number 4.
That's the most important part of our entire marketing gimmick, Jonathan.
Yeah, so it's not. So that way, when they throw up a sign, they can throw up a number 4 sign.
Throw up the 4. That's what you do.
Throw up the 4 because it's Fortress. It was very.
We had the 4 before Gary Vaynerchuk had the 5. I mean, I just want to throw that out there. And I'm after his marketing people.
What does that mean?
It's when he was young, he couldn't afford a Jets jersey as an immigrant to the country, and his mother stitched him a New York Jets sweater, and the number on the back of the sweater was 5, which just tells you how Russian-born immigrants, because at the time, like 5 wasn't like a popular football number. It's a popular soccer number. But you don't see a lot of 5s on NFL play. But in any case, so that's why he hands up the 5. I've got an admission to make, Jonathan, and a tie into your story.
Is that like a good Russian immigrant story? Is that just a really good example of somebody just making up a whole bunch of bullshit because it sounds like a really good origin story?
I guess it does.
Like
he knows.
I mean, maybe it's true. It's true. But like,
that's what he said.
It's just like a good origin story that clearly somebody was like, I need an origin story.
I wasn't there, John. I don't know. I just know what the man said. Give me a break, for God's sakes. So I've got an admission and tie into the story. The admission is that, Amber, I was in your neck of the woods not more than 2 weekends ago. I
just did the dad grunt.
I heard it, Jonathan. It's a part of you now. It's who you are now, Jonathan. Just accept it. You're on the dark side now. You're a Sith Lord. That's why you got the black hoodie on. So I was in Bluffton, South Carolina, Amber, which I'm think it's relatively close to where you are. I did not announce that I was coming down
45 there. 45 minutes.
I didn't announce it, and I didn't announce I was coming down there because I was there for a retreat. I was invited to speak to. This ties in all stories today. For Jonathan's story about having a diverse amount of speakers, I was asked to be a speaker at a fitness event for women. So, and it was my first one, Jonathan, but I had a lot of experience because I do a live broadcast like
you were the token white guy at an all women's event. This shit has gone full circle. I saw this comedian. It was hilarious. He was like giving people shit. Jonathan. So he was giving people shit that were in the front row, and he came across a black man that had adopted a white boy. And he was just like,
it's already funny.
And the white guy was like a grown up. He was like an adult. He's like, dude, you won. He's like, yo, this shit has come full circle. He's like, holy shit. He went down and like gave the dude a huge high five. It's amazing.
It is a full circle moment though. It's like the opposite of the 80s sitcom Different Strokes. But in any case, so I'm down there in Bluffton, and it was a Friday morning that I spoke, Amber, so because I had to be back in my hometown Friday evening for 30th anniversary high school reunion. So I didn't get to stay.
30th anniversary of high school. Wow.
I know. I'm old, dude. But well preserved by the fitness. I'm 48. A boyishly handsome 48. In any case, and I'm closer to 49 as of November because 6 months away from my birthday in April.
But isn't it interesting because like I just turned 37 and I like when I was like in my 20s, 37 was like so old. Like I meet a 37, I'd be like, yo, you like you either have it figured out or you don't at this point. Like
you're a full grown adult at 37, dude. Like I can't imagine being that old. When you're 20, that's how you think. And when 48, forget about it. 48 is
now I'm sitting here and I'm like still figuring it out. Like I feel like on that day
still
one
young.
Right,
you're still a young person, man.
But even at 48, I feel like I'll be that way. Well, maybe not.
You will, because, 48 now versus 48 in the 1980s. Like, in the 1980s, 48 looked like the older guy from the A-Team. You know what I mean? 48 was like the way that – I can't think of another example. There's like Captain Stubing for the Love Boat was probably 48. This is an older gentleman. Example. 48 now really is topical. It's like 30.
Really good topical example.
So let me finish my story, Jonathan.
Do you have friends? So here's my question for you. Do you have friends? You're 48, right? And you take care of yourself, so you look good. You could easily pass for like 46. And so do you I imagine at the point that you're at now, you have like friends who you look at or people you know that have like really aged, and then people who haven't like is it really really jarring?
It's very jarring.
The split between people who have like taken care of themselves physically and like people
very jarring. My friends are the black versions of Homer Simpson. Now that's where they are physically, like real talk. So I'll go to my 30th reunion, and then I'm going back to my story. I will finish my story today, Jonathan. Damn you!
It's fine. You could maybe or maybe not. We'll see
so I go back to my
7 minutes left. We'll see
I go back to my high school reunion, and first I've got a full head of hair, right? Second, I've got a full head
which
of
nobody ever knows because
nobody ever knows all the time. Yeah, because I wear it. But our first podcast here, I had my hat off. The first two, I think. And in second, I've got a full head of jet black hair. And all my gray right now is in the what is a small beard section, but that's where all my gray is. And so my friends were giving me shit. They were like, if you saw Bad Boys 3, in Bad Boys 3, Will Smith gets injured, and
I did not.
Well, at its best,
any movie gets to number 3, I just
be like
give
that,
up.
John.
Like I'm just not like.
And anyway,
people are like, oh yeah, did you see? What's the one where they did like Tokyo Drift and then the
Fast and Furious?
Really sad. Yeah, like Fast and Furious. Like people are like, oh, did you see the new Fast and Furious 15? I'm like, fuck no.
10's a bit
number
much.
15.
That's a bit much.
Like.
In any case,
at this point, it's just too easy. Like, make a different movie.
My friends teased me for my youthful look, and they insinuated that I was putting dye in my hair.
And you said to them, it's because you're on the carnivore diet, and I eat vegetables.
I'm keto, bro. You guys are eating those vegetables. That's why you look like spilled milk. So I'm in Bluffton. I'm doing my talk. And I'm in Amber's area, but I do my women's retreat thing. It's not my retreat, but I've been asked to speak at it. And at the end of it, the lady who invited me, she's got the freaking Apollo tape, and she plays it for these women who don't care that I was in an R&B group in the 1990s.
You on stage?
Yeah, I'm talking, and she's like, ladies, did you enjoy that talking? Hell yeah, he was great, blah, blah, blah. She's like, well, I've got a special treat for you. And I'm like, what's the special treat?
What's the song? Can you give us a little hint? Can you sing a little
the
bit?
song that we sang was called 5 Steps. It was by a group called Drew Hill. Drew Hill's front man was Cisco, who's much more famous for the thong song. The thong song?
No, I know.
You know how this thong song goes?
How does it go?
I think it's like, ooh, that dress is scandalous. And you say another brother can handle this. And you're saying that thing like, who's this? She look in your eyes so devilish. She like to dance at the hip hop stop and connect the dots. I don't know all the lyrics, but I know at some point he says she got jumped like a truck. Thighs like what? Lady move your butt. I think it's in the end. She got jumped like a truck. Thighs like what? All night long. Let me see that thong. It's the pinnacle of American musical composition. Anytime you use the words dumps, truck, and butt, and what in one sentence, in one lyrical context, it's
a rhyming masterpiece.
I may not know what
Eminem
genius
ain't got
is.
nothing on Cisco.
I may not be a genius, but I know it when I see it, Jonathan, and that's genius. Dumps like a truck. So. In any case, so that's my story.
Apollo tape of you doing
it.
Was that the story? Was that the conclusion of the story? Was she playing the tape of you
in its disconnected form due to multiple, may I add, Jewish interruptions? I'm thinking the guy on Twitter was on track.
We need to ask a Jewish guy button too. It's like
I'm just a black dude.
Ask a Jewish guy.
Black dude trying to do his job, and then the Jewish guy takes over. I think some of the disgruntled messages you get on Twitter I think they're appropriate, Jonathan, because that was very unprofessional of you to interrupt my story multiple times, and you're kind of acting like you own the place. So I don't know, buddy. I'm not here to judge. I only know one Jewish person really personally, and the one I know is particularly awful.
Am I the only Jewish person you know? Serious question. Am I the only Jewish person you know?
I know one who has adopted the religion of Judaism, but I don't know any other. Black girl. I went to high school with her. She lives in Israel.
And so she decided to convert. She was like, I'm going back to the roots of all religions and
move from East Winston-Salem, North Carolina to Israel. Wow. Out of the blue, we get a message. I'm Jewish now, and we're like, cool. Are you coming back for a homecoming? That was our reply to her Jewish announcement. Cool. Do you get to come back for homecoming? But in any case, yes. But one of the Jewish people I know is a lovely young lady, sweet as she can be. The other one's a bit of an ass. I just got to put that out there. Yeah. It's a tough. Well, so I guess I'm 50-50. I hope you never meet him either.
I hope I never meet him. Okay.
Is that a show?
Amber, thank you for this.
This episode is like the embodiment of how my brain works. Ren's trying to tell a story. You're constantly interrupting. And so this is literally how my brain sounds all day long. Right. And I feel bad for our listeners to try to figure this out.
Well, yes.
I don't. Because...
Is there a dog barking in your mind also?
Yeah.
Yes, 3 of them, in fact.